Good morning, dear students. Assalamu alaikum. I am here to address generally the students of class 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. Today I have picked up a topic from 10th class geography textbook, that is first one unit, resources, their classification and conservation of resources. First I will discuss with you the concept of resource. What does resource mean? There are variety of definitions to this term resource. Resource is basically anything which has utility. Anything which has utility. Remember this word utility. Utility. What does utility mean? Utility means what satisfying power. What satisfying power. Hope you get this word. Satisfying power. Utility means what satisfying power. Simply, resource is anything which has utility, and utility, the term utility means what satisfying power. I will make it clear by means of certain examples. If a person asks you a question, either way you have wear this jacket. My answer should be as simply, I am feeling now coldness, I am feeling cold here, so this jacket has the ability to satisfy my want, to give me warmth. It indicates that everything has a specific power. The power which is hidden within this marker can't be hidden within this cell phone. Cell phone has a specific power. We can make conversations, either we can make calls or either we can make messages by means of cell phone. We can't write by means of this cell phone on this board. It indicates that everything, either its cost is high, either its cost is low, everything has a specific power, and that specific power is called utility. It satisfies our want. Another one example is that if a person claims that he has headache, we offer him different types of varieties of food. I say just take this Waseem, either take these chips. He simply says me, no dear, I doesn't want these things. I simply want a tablet to get relief from this headache. It indicates that the power which is hidden in that thing, in that medicine, can't be hidden in this food. Okay? So remember this, resource is anything which has utility, and utility is a term which means what satisfying power. It is because of this utility we use variety of resources in our day-to-day life. Variety of resources in our day-to-day life. Now what is conservation of resource? Where we need this conservation of resource. But here is a point, these resources are limited. Remember this, resources are limited. Resources are limited. But our wants are unlimited. But our wants are unlimited. This one creates a war. This one creates a war among resources and wants. Our wants are unlimited. Our wants can't get satisfied, but these resources are limited. And this is because of this term, limited resources and unlimited wants. It creates here the problem of, it creates here the question of this conservation of resource. What does conservation mean? Simply, we humans are also resources. Government needs us, that is why government provides different types of facilities to us. Otherwise, government has no need to safeguard us presently from this pandemic, because government needs us. Government needs defense persons, government needs engineers, doctors, government needs laborers too. That is why government safeguards us to there, because we are resources towards the government. Our body parts are limited, our parents are limited, everything in this world is limited. Our life is too limited. I will provide you an example. Our body parts, either my eyes are limited, these are 2 in number. I have to use these eyes from birth till death continuously. But these limited body parts, these limited eyes have to give a variety of satisfaction to my wants. I have to use these eyes in such a way so that I can satisfy present wants and also remain these resources for future use. That's called conservation of resource. Conservation means there is a war, always there remains a war from the beginning between resources and wants. Resources are limited, wants are unlimited. So what does conservation mean? We have to use these limited resources in an efficient way. Use these limited resources in an efficient way. Not in a good way, in an efficient way. What does efficient way mean? Efficient way mean to use these resources to fulfill our present need. We have to use these resources at any cost because we need resources in our day-to-day life. We have to use these resources, but we have to use these resources in such a way so that we can satisfy our present wants and also retain these resources for future use too. That is called conservation. Hope you will get it. That is conservation. Conservation arises because of limitedness of resources and unlimited wants. Okay? Third one is classification of resources. Classification of resources. We can classify resources by means of either it is creativity or by means of either its ability. Classification of resources by means of creativity. By means of creativity, resources are of two types. Either it is natural resource, first one, natural resource. Second one, man-made resources or human-made resources, man-made resources. Man-made resources. What does this mean, natural resource? Natural resource is basically anything which is created by nature. As we are Muslims, we think that these are created by God. But for an atheist, he doesn't believe upon God. He says that those resources which are created by their own, without the interference of any human being, without the interference of any external force, these are called natural resources. As this sky is the quite example of natural resource, this moon, this land, this air that we breathe, oxygen, etc. These are all natural resources. Second one is man-made resource. Man-made resource is basically that one resource which is created by man, which is created by humans, by their efficient efforts, by their skills. Such as this marker is the right example of this man-made resource. Hope you can get it. Third one is by means of this availability. Classification of resource by means of availability. First one is renewable resource. Renewable resources. Second one is non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources. यहाँ पे एक एग्जाम्पल मुझे याद आ रही है. रिन्यूएबल रिसोर्सेज आप मान लो उस मेहमान की तरह जो रोज आपके घर आए लगातार. आज वो आया आपके घर, खाना खा के चला गया, अगले रोज वो फिर से आ गया. That is renewable resource. I will make it quite simple. That renewable resource is that one resource which has the power to get back within short span of time. To get back within short span of time. Within short span of time. After using these renewable resources, water is the quite example of renewable resource. Air that we breathe, it is the quite example of resource. The shining sun, it is the quite example of renewable resource. As when this night arrives, sun gets off, and after every night, sun shines again in the morning. So it indicates that those one resources which can be taken back within a short duration of time, those are called renewable resources. And the examples of renewable resources are either it is water, either it is wind, either it is forests. Forests are good non-renewable resources. As it may take 10 to 20 years, it may take 20 years, 15 years. Renewable resources basically can be generated within short span of time. That one short span of time can be up to 15 years, 50 years, 30 years within a single generation. So single generation can take back these renewable resources. Second one is non-renewable resource. Non-renewable resources, they are resources which can't be taken back within a short duration of time. When we use these resources, it is very difficult to get them back within a short duration of time. It takes plenty of years. Either it takes 100 years, thousands years to get back. These are called non-renewable resources. And here I will present some examples of non-renewable resources, mostly fossil fuels. Fossil fuels, which include petroleum, coal. Coal is basically a fossil fuel and is a good example of non-renewable resource. Researchers say that if we use the coal deposits in the same pace as we are used to nowadays, after 50 to 60 years, all the coal deposits will get exhausted and nothing will remain for our future generation. That is why government is trying their level best. Either they are making costly these resources. You can see inflation by means of these oil prices, because government wants us to restrict us to use these limited resources in a faster pace, because these are limited within us. If once they get exhausted, they take plenty of time to get back. That is why non-renewable resources, which we should need these non-renewable resources in an economical way, so that we can satisfy our present wants and also retain these non-renewable resources for future use. It is all about this resource, classification of resource and conservation of resource. I will put light upon noble points. I have already discussed that resource is anything which has utility. Remember this word, utility. Utility means what satisfying power of a commodity. Everything has specific power. Everything. Either I have told you toothpick, it has a specific power. Diamond ring, it has a specific power. The power which lies within the toothpick can't be lie within this diamond ring. That is called utility. What satisfying power? It is because of this utility we use resources in our day-to-day life. Second one is conservation of resources. Where we need conservation of resources? Conservation means to retain resources for future use, to use resources in an efficient way, in a good way, so that we can satisfy our present needs, so that we can satisfy our present wants, and also retain these resources for future use. Where this conservation arises, conservation of resources arises, I have told you, there is a war, there is a fight between resources and wants. Resources are limited, wants are unlimited. That is why we have to use these limited resources in a good way, in an efficient way, so that we can use these regularly to satisfy our wants. Third one is classification. I have told you, either by means of creativity, it is natural resource which is created by God. As we are Muslims, we think that for atheists, those resources which gets created by themselves without the interference of any person, without the interference of anything, those are called natural resources. And quite example that mountain, sky, moon, etc., sun, these are our natural resources. Man-made resources which are created by man, this marker, this jacket, etc., board, जो कुछ भी आप देखते हो, these are our man-made resources. Availability, how much they are available, how much time they take to get available to a person, that is renewable resource which gets renewed within a short duration of time, which can be taken back within a short duration of time. Sun is the quote example. It gets off during night and again in the morning it wakes up, or we can say it begins to shine. That is renewable resource. Either forests are renewable resources. It takes 10 to 15 years to develop a new tree in the forest. That is renewable resource. Non-renewable resources are basically exhaustible resource which once we use cannot be taken back within a short duration of time. Petroleum products, coal, etc. These are all non-renewable resources. Dear students, hope that you may get it. Goodbye. God bless you. Stay safe. Stay home.